where life is
7 a.m. and 30 seconds, and you are now invited to listen to The Morning Watch with Mr. Stokeley Marshall.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you are overseas and on the move, US listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you are in the UK, 0330-332-6541. Or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live in the first watch today. The problem with cyber data breaches. In the second watch, lessons learned from Hurricane Gilbert. For our social media question, we ask, what are the positive lessons you learned from Hurricane Gilbert? Share your responses in our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp, 876-997-3125, using hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your responses later on the program, but first, here's I quote.
Good morning. Today's I quote.
Morning, Jacal.
Yes, good morning. Today's I quote says, sometimes when things are falling apart, they may actually be falling into place. And this is unknown, so we don't know who said it. What's a powerful quote?
I think I agree with the unknown person.
Same here.
You know, where is it that some of these very interesting air quotes are penned by the unknown person?
Right.
Well, they are known, but not known to us.
Not known to us, right.
Morning, my brother. I hope you're well.
Yes, I am. I'm doing well.
Yes, looking forward to an excellent show. The topics are extremely interesting.
Yeah, man, I can see that. I'm interested
indeed,
about the especially the second watch.
The second watch. More and on that. The first watch will be back, or will be on after this break.
Flavor. Great sardine with the chef and the beginner. Follow the one with pepper. That are the winner. Shop on supermarkets. Everybody sell it. Do all of them nice. Pass the part, make push it.
Great sardines. Follow the better flavor.
At Flow, we are determined to get it right. Now, over 60% of Jamaica has access to our Fiber Fast network, with over 800 communities being upgraded since 2020. And there's more to come. Everything we're doing is inspired by our harshest critic, you. Join Jamaica's Fiber Fast network and rediscover Flow today.
Jamaica and its workforce are advancing quickly. Life-changing opportunities are arising. You need training and support. We are the Renewed Heart NSTA Trust, committed to providing new and emerging skills training and opportunities. Come to Heart. We'll help you claim your place in the workforce of the future.
Get your Western Union back to school bonus from now until September 22. 50 winners of $10,000 every week. Millions in scholarships of up to $100,000 each. And double your Western Union money transfer in your GK1 wallet to get you ready for the new school year. You could be one of over 300 winners. Just download the GK1 app, receive a Western Union transfer in your GK1 wallet, and you're automatically entered to your back to school bonus. Visit gkmsonline.com for all the rules.
Authorized under Section 58 of the Betting Gaming Laws.
Get ready for a nostalgic time inside Love in the Morning with me, your host, Jakal Dyer, this Thursday, September 14th. Listen throughout the show for tips on how to become the best version of who you are in the feature Becoming You. Grab your cup of coffee and we'll start the day right with the Morning Coffee Pick Me Up devotional at 6 a.m. Then at 7 a.m., we bring you the Morning Watch with intriguing and thought-provoking discussions. 8:40 a.m., we take it up a notch inside How Would You React with scenarios and situations that make you stop and wonder, what would I do? What would I really do? 9:30 a.m. is Voice of Power, brought to you by the Power of Faith Ministries. Stick and stay with us. It's Take Me Back Thursday inside Love in the Morning, 5 to 10 a.m. on the family station, Love 101, celebrating 30 years of music, family, and love.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Now, what does it mean when the cyber data of an entity like the Financial Services Commission, the FSC, is breached? How about your own personal data, which may be online, because so many people go on various websites, social media, etc. To discuss this and related issues, we have with us online today Mr. Christopher Record. He is the CEO of T-Tech Limited. We also have Dennis Strong, financial analyst and commentator. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you both?
Hi, morning.
Morning. Quick correction. Former CEO of T-Tech. I resigned from last year.
Oh, I see.
So I'm just doing IT consultancy and advisory service around the same cybersecurity. Morning, then.
Our humble apologies, Mr. Record, former CEO of T-Tech, and consultant at the moment in the areas of cybersecurity.
Correct. And digital transformation.
Thank you so much for that correction. Now, gentlemen, starting with you, Mr. Record, what does it mean when the cyber data of an entity like the FSC is breached?
What it means, you can take this from many angles. But one of the main things that we have to realize is that the bad actors out there, the cybersecurity criminals, are getting much more advanced. What has been happening with enterprises across the world is that, the IT professionals have done their job. That's what they think. And what these folks are not realizing is that the cybersecurity criminals are, in fact, getting much more advanced. The cybersecurity, it's now an industry. So these bad actors, they actually consult larger companies to help them to build their cybercrime tools. So when an organization like FSC has done all the work and has secured their systems, so they think the criminals are much more advanced. And sadly, with certain organizations' budgetary constraints, they can't keep up. Right? They're not ahead of the curve in terms of cyber. So that's a very, very high level.
Well, we're talking about an entity like the FSC, and I'm not throwing any stones at them, but it's a government-related entity, and you would assume that any resources that are required to be provided to them will be provided to them. Any comment?
Well, that's a big assumption to make. When you're I'm not too sure if you've been a part of any government, any organization at all. There's always a finite budget to deal with certain things, and IT is one. I myself have sat in many meetings with many IT managers and hear the complaints about resources, not enough resources being allocated to them to handle the affairs of the department that they're given to manage. And it's
based on what you have said alone, in terms of the fact that these persons who are bad actors are running ahead, and they are not waiting for you to have the relevant resources. So, any comments there?
No. So this is an age-old challenge. This is not anything new that we're talking about. Which is why, putting on my hat as an IT practitioner, what has happened in the past is that I will go and knock on doors. I will show all the new technologies, because there are companies, many companies, thousands of companies globally, that are making technology that are able to thwart all of these various risks. but it requires investment. It requires upgrades to systems that are there. And so, fact of the matter is that, that IT manager has to make a decision with the 6 or 7 other challenges that they have. Okay, how much am I going to put in cybersecurity? There are some CEOs out there that cybersecurity is a priority. They're like, leave no stone unturned. We're making sure that we're secure. And so, those are the folks that I like to knock on those doors and go in and have those type of discussions, because those are folks who make the investment. But that's not everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Record. Mr. Dennis Chung, financial analyst and commentator. Because you're a financial analyst, you might have a more heightened awareness as it relates to the data breaches that can occur in any financial entity, whether public or private. And when you go to an institution now to even open an account or to do business with them, they want all sorts of information from it to satisfy the Proceeds of Crime Act, etc. Your identification, your TRN, proof of income, and a multiplicity of other documents from time to time. So when something like this happens at the FSC, which they have not hidden, it is out there in the public domain. I mean, what does that mean for the average person, Mr. Cho?
Well, it is sad that it has happened at a place like the FSC, because people have no option if you're doing business with the FSC but to provide the information. So once you are mandated to provide certain information, and because of some positions I hold, I have to provide personal information to the FSC for a few institutions. It means that they have a duty to protect the information that is provided.
Stand up in there 1 second, Mr. Chung, and I'm cutting into what you're saying. But having the duty to protect it is one thing, but as Mr. Record is pointing out, some of these bad actors are, well, I will put in this term, they are light years ahead of the persons who are supposed to be protecting the data. So any comments there?
Yeah, so what I was going to say is that because they have a duty, I think that the public needs to know in great detail what actually happened and what were the shortcomings, right? Because you're right, people, and Chris is right, the hackers will always be very advanced in terms of the methods and things. But what I find is that many times the reason why hackers get into personal email or company email or company system, is that because there has not been enough money spent on a proper IT strategy going forward, and number two, that they haven't spent enough on training the people, which is a very important part of the IT strategy, because many hackers get in because of, through someone's email, for example, email access, or gets in because someone does not secure their password well enough, right? And therefore, I think that the FSC owes it to the public to provide a detailed explanation as to why this happened and who would have been accountable for something not happening, right? So that you want to call in someone like Chris to actually do an audit and ensure that the records are properly taken care of. I mean, and we have to look at this breach also. And I hope that this is one of the first ones that's tested. But in relation to the Data Protection Act,
hold that thought 1 second, Mr. Chung, because you have gone down another road which we must go down. But we're upon a break. Listeners, go absolutely nowhere at all. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Do you have questions about the availability of medication from your drugstore pharmacist? Ask your pharmacist. Contact the NHF to find out more. The time by the NHF is
7:15. My boss, I'm me, man. Greetings from your future self. Just to make you know that the things work out as we planned back in the day. We get the car we did always want. And we can't complain about retirement. Nah lie.
Start planning early with a Jane Individual Retirement Scheme. Retirement lasts longer than you think.
One piece of advice. Take some picture while we still have hair on we head.
Do your future a favor. Make sure you're in a position to enjoy retirement. Contact Jane Life Insurance today.
Hate long wait times at the pharmacy? Me too. Well, I found Marshall's Pharmacy, located at Pathfinder Plaza, Greater Portmore. Great customer service, shorter wait times, all the local and international brands I want, plus print services powered by Print Corner. WhatsApp your prescriptions to 876-491-7841 and follow them on Instagram at Marshall's Pharmacy. Visit Marshall's Pharmacy in Greater Portmore today. They're open late every day, even on public holidays.
They're full of life. You're full of love. They're carefree. You care more. That's why we created Child Protector, a critical illness insurance plan from Sagicor Life. It provides coverage for your child in the event of 15 critical illnesses, hospitalization benefits, life insurance, and investment benefits. So make sure your child can live life to the fullest. Apply for Sagicor Child Protector today.
Get the skills and certification that equates to jobs and money worldwide. In 3 to 4 months at the Distinction College, start day, evening, and Saturday classes in pharmacy technician, bartending and mixology, project and HR management, cosmetology, airline ticketing, and sales. No subjects required, no age limits, no entrance tests. Register this week and win an additional course for free. Or visit us in Kingston, Spanish Town, and Ocho Rios, or call us at 876-356-4167. Distinction College, the school of champions.
Get your Western Union back to school bonus from now until September 22. 50 winners of $10,000 every week. Millions in scholarships of up to $100,000 each. And double your Western Union money transfer in your GK1 wallet to get you ready for the new school year. You could be one of over 300 winners. Just download the GK1 app, receive a Western Union transfer in your GK1 wallet, and you're automatically entered to your back to school bonus. Visit gkmsonline.com for all the rules. Authorized under Section 58. Gaming Laws.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the first watch. The topic is the problem with cyber data breaches. Our guests are Christopher Record. He is a consultant in information technology and cybersecurity, and we also have Dennis Chung, financial analyst and commentator. Mr. Chung, just before the break, you're making a very interesting point, and you were beginning to make a comment in relation to data protection, but before, well, the Data Protection Act, but before we go there, sir, and, I just want to quickly look at a recent headline in the Jamaica Observer. Dated September the 6th, 2023. FSC reports cyber breach. The Financial Services Commission, FSC, says it has experienced a cyber event. In a media release on Wednesday, that was then, the FSC said a dedicated team of cybersecurity experts from the Jamaica Cyber Incident Response Team and the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency is working aggressively to assess the extent of the event. The FSC wishes to assure our staff, and this is a quote now, the FSC wishes to assure our staff, licensees, registrants, and other stakeholders that all efforts are being made to protect their personal information and the data the release said. It did not disclose the extent of the cyber event. It added the FSC takes the security of our systems and data very seriously and is working assiduously to address the situation with alacrity. The FSC said it remains operational. However, stakeholders may experience delayed responses and processing times. Mr. Chung, any comments in light of that short news item? And you can please develop the point in terms of the Data Protection Act, which is going to become operational on December the 1st.
Yeah, so, that response in itself, I think, is inadequate, right? And for another one to happen,
is inadequate.
Of course, I mean, FSC is not somewhere where I voluntarily give information, you know. I have to give information once you're doing business with the FSC. So therefore, they have a duty more than many other organizations to protect my data. No, I mean, I want to throw a few scenarios at you. Okay. Number one.
All right.
The breach happens, my identity is stolen, and I suffer financial loss or other loss.
Yeah.
How is the FSC going to?
Very valid point, Mr. Chung. I'm not sure if I'm hearing you, Mr. Chung. Mr. Chung, are you there? Not sure if I'm hearing Mr. Chung. Yes, I'm hearing you again. Yes, go ahead, Mr. Chung.
How do I know that the breach of the cyber crime is not perpetuated by someone who does not fax on the SSL thing to come out?
Yeah.
Right? How do I know that the information that's being leaked won't cause an issue? The response is inadequate, and I expect places like Parliament, for example, right, to be looking at these things and calling for a more wholesome and explanation and accountability from the FSC, because, as I said, they have very sensitive information, and that information is not given voluntarily.
It's not given voluntarily.
Right.
Yes.
Once you are a licensee, you have to give them information, and they have like 10 pages of things that you need to give them, right? So they have a duty, and they need to come out and properly explain what has happened, right? And let us know who is responsible for it and what is going to be done. Something must be done.
You mentioned the Data Protection Act, which becomes operational later on this year. Mr. Chung, any thoughts or comments on that, sir?
Well, if it's not operational yet, but certainly I think that there is some comparison that should be brought in terms of, you know, what they would have breached under it. I would expect that, you know, someone, maybe some investigative journalist would say, listen, based on this breach, this is what they're in breach of. Yeah. And this is would have been the penalty. That's the sort of thing I wanted to test it.
Understood, Mr. Chung. Heard you loud and clear, Mr. Record. What happens when a breach with the data occurs, and how can such an event be avoided? I know it's a double-barreled question, but what really happens when there's a data breach, and how can such an event be avoided? What are some of the steps even the average person listening, or the average person generally speaking, can take to protect their data? To widen the question a bit. Go ahead, sir. Mr. Record. Mr. Record, are you with us? Not sure if I'm hearing you, Mr. Record.
Yeah, it seems like he's not here.
It seems as if we don't have him on the platform. But Mr. Chung, I'll rephrase the question to you, sir. Yeah. When there is a data breach and persons are concerned in relation to, you know, their data being lost, what, if anything, can be done, you think, from your angle to reassure persons that the financial system is secure from a financial perspective, from a financial sector perspective?
Well, the first thing, and I always find very useful, is to be very transparent. Tell people exactly what happened, because if you don't start from that basis, Stokeley, of transparency, then people might not believe anything else that you say after that. Right? So be very transparent about that. These are the things that happened, right? This is what should have happened, this is what should not have happened. And then go and tell people, communicate with people and say, listen, these are the things that we're doing, outline the specific steps. And it should come from someone who has the knowledge, right? And maybe an independent person who has the knowledge. So an independent consultant, for example, like a Chris, right? Should maybe be the one speaking, because the truth is Stokeley. I mean, if someone is in charge of an institution and there's a breach, you might not want to hear anything from them after that, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that independent person could say, listen, this is what we've done. these are the steps that are being taken. So training, for example, is critical because, as I said, most breaches happen because of people not keeping passwords confidential, people not having proper password protocol, people going on and just clicking on links. They hear about this thing, phishing, right? Someone sends you something to say, oh, I mean, you've never entered a lottery in your life, but all of a sudden you've won a lottery.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
Click on this, right? And it's going to be a virus, right? That attaches itself to and breaches the security, right? So the outline specifically the reasons why something has happened and what are the steps being taken to deal with it. So, I mean, is there a problem with the firewalls, for example? They don't have adequate firewalls, right? Is a problem of a breach? Because it doesn't even have to be a breach at the SSC itself, you know, because remember, data can be stored offline somewhere.
Exactly.
A third supplier.
Yes.
A third party, sorry. So it could be a breach here. So what exactly happened? You know, and that's what we want to know. Once you establish that trust, that people say, okay, fine, you have come clean with me, then you can have a credible conversation. But
yes.
First thing to do, you know, not issue a half-hearted release to say, oh, we will do so and so. Guess what? You didn't do it in the first place. So I don't want an assurance to say, just as an assurance to say, oh, we will do so and so. No. You know, tell me what happened. Let's re-establish the trust. Right? So that I can have confidence and my information is going to be secure.
You know, I gather that Mr. Record is back online with us. Mr. Record, in the few minutes that we have left, sir, before we wrap, could you just outline for us very quickly a list of steps that an institution or even an individual can take to secure their data?
So a number of years ago, I did some detailed research around the various frameworks that are out there. And there are numbers. You know, you have the big ones in Europe, in ISO, and of course you have the American standards. The number of steps. Number one is for awareness training, cybersecurity awareness training with your staff, and not just the box checking variation where somebody sits down for an hour, watch a video, and then they answer 2 questions. No, we need more detailed cybersecurity awareness training, which includes phishing attacks, planned phishing attacks on the business, for you to gauge to see that people actually learn what they're taught. So cybersecurity awareness training is number one.
So training is number one. Any others?
Oh, well, I have 4. So take stock, lock shop, use protection, patch it, and backups. Backup is the most important protection against if bad actor
if someone steals the data, you have the information stored elsewhere.
You have it stored somewhere. So taking stock is that you need to have a good understanding of exactly what information, what technologies, what software you have that people may want to use, and also have a list of every single solitary, let's call it access, everyone who has access to that data, everyone who has access to this technologies, everyone who has access to the software that is being used in the organization. Because
I know that because of limited time, though, Mr. Record, and we are so sorry that you were not on the platform for a moment. But is there a way? Is there a foolproof way or almost foolproof way to make sure that the data doesn't even get stolen in the first place?
No, there's no foolproof way. Sadly, you can reduce risk tremendously, but there's no 100% guaranteed way that any cybersecurity professional can tell anyone.
I've heard of firewalls, and Mr. Chung mentioned firewalls when he was commenting.
Firewalls is one tiny component of the entire ecosystem, right? And that is your perimeter protection. But that's one tiny piece. So multi-factor authentication, having very, very strong identification. How do I know that you are you? How do I know that it's Stokeley Marshall that is connecting? Is there a way to ensure that I have a scanner for your face? So there are various ways of identification for who has access to technology.
There.
Right. So which
is a controversial area, but
going
interesting.
To be, well, of course, but
no. We're discussing all controversial and topical issues on the morning one.
But at the end of the day, it's going to be a balance of, again, that B word, the budget word, versus what's required. Of course, all of the you'll be shocked and surprised the amount of former IT managers that no longer work in companies, government included, that still has access to their technology systems.
Yes,
Simply
because
because
they
lack of
didn't
resources
put
out
something in
there.
place to keep them out of the system, maybe.
Well, but
when they left
sometimes
the
you
job.
actually need help from them. So
see.
sometimes you have to call back some of these same folks. Where are they storing their access information? Do they have it written down on their refrigerator at home?
Yes,
Right?
yes.
You know, we do assume that IT professionals are a little bit more security conscious than that. So the whole idea of protection, the whole idea of border protection, the whole idea of patch management. You tell me, how many times have you gotten a notification on your computer or on your cell phone to say that there's an update due later? What do we do? What do most people do?
Quickly, sir, we have to go only because of time. We try to give you the benefit of a little bit more, a couple more seconds, but alas, we're completely out of time. Christopher Record and Dennis Strong, I want to thank you for your time and for your thoughts this morning. Listeners, go absolutely nowhere at all. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Thank you.
Bank, anything possible with a little savings in your hand.
The time by Jan Bank is
7:31 and 30 seconds.
Why, Jenny? You know, see the little essential oil business that take off. Orders are coming from all about, you know. So tell Sanya, you really take your time, build up your business. Thank you. But tell me something. You know, think of time for you up your thing now and start think bigger. What the point you make, Jenny? Export, Sanya. Think export. Let me disturb you for a second. You did know, say, in a 2021, Jamaica import $5.9 billion US dollars in goods and services, and we turn around export only $1.4 billion? You know, sister, we have missed opportunities to bring money in a Jamaica and grow the economy. Lord, man, so why the gap so big? I did not have it big, so you know, Sonia. If other small manufacturers like you start think export, we can bridge the gap and start bring some real money into the country.
A message from the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Jamaica's business ministry. Growing exports, increasing investment.
Hi. 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 Hi, everybody. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Hello. Are your friends and family coming over? No worries. Surprise them with the Oreo roll. The perfect pack to share with everyone anywhere. Twist, lick, and dunk to enjoy the flavor that everyone loves and create new memories filled with laughter and fun. Oreo, stay playful.
NHD contributors.
Now you can access your open market loans at Scotiabank, NCB, or COK Credit Union. If you earn $30,000 or more per week, visit any of these NHD partners and kickstart your application. Your regular NHD interest rate will apply. Other contributors and those receiving special grants will continue to apply at NHD offices island-wide. Visit nhd.gov.jm for details.
Every Wednesday at 11 a.m. on Love 101, you're invited to listen to Good Morning Minister, a weekly feature where government ministers will speak about the development in their various ministries. Listen for the updates and have your questions and concerns ready to share inside Good Morning Minister as the Minister of Information, Robert Nesta Morgan, and a guest minister or agency head discuss the issues and take your questions and suggestions. Get ready to call in during Good Morning Minister, 11 a.m. on Wednesdays, right here on Love 101, the family station.
Make an impact on your career. Earn real money. Get 3 to 4 local and international certification in practical nursing and early childhood education with free CXC or CAPE subjects in 6 to 12 months at Distinction College, located at 26 Hagley Park Road, Kingston. In geriatric nursing, phlebotomy, childcare. We have the lowest school fees around. Classes begin very soon. Call us 356-4167.
Well, welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's take a look now at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. And today, interestingly, I have the physical newspapers in front of me. We have in the Daily Observer, wait and see over toll rates as new leg of Highway 2000 opens. We also have Back to School, the Best Dressed Chicken Way, and that is a story with reference to something on P2 of the Thursday food section. And we also have on the front page of the Daily Observer, dengue fears. Health Ministry says dangerous strain of mosquito-borne disease dominant on island. And we now turn to the Gleaner. 1.7 billion budget for election. EOJ wants 70% more to conduct local government polls. We also have water warning. Jamaicans urged to brace for more drought challenges. 150 million more to be spent on emergency response. And another one, accused, very surprised, at charge for Daniel Rose killing, says attorney. Those and other stories in both of our major daily newspapers. Coming up next, we'll replay some of the feedback from our social media question, which is what are the positive lessons you learned from Hurricane Gilbert? Leave a comment on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, Love 101 FM Jamaica, or WhatsApp 876-997-3125. We'll be right back.
It's time to wake up to profit. Hi, I'm Coach Kerr, your business coach. I help entrepreneurs to build a business that allows them to make money while they sleep. Join me on my new radio show, Wake Up to Profit, on Love 101 this September. I'll be sharing the strategies, tips, and tools you need to build a successful business online with drop shipping, print on demand, digital products, social media marketing, and more. Subscribe at wakeuptoprofit.com.
Listen to Wake Up to Profit with Coach Carr, Thursdays at 6:47 a.m. during Love in the Morning with Jukar Dar. That's Wake Up to Profit with Coach Carr, Thursdays at 6:47 a.m. right here on Love 101 FM, the family station. This Sunday, listen for Revival of Truth at 4 p.m. as we facilitate the broadcast of the People's National Party's 85th Annual Conference.
The following is brought to you by the People's National Party.
Time come now. Comrades, are you ready? Time come now for the PNP's 85th Annual National Conference. Sunday, September 17, National Arena. Come here, party leader, Comrade Mark Jefferson Golding, as he outlines a new direction for Jamaica. Come here, the vision to move Jamaica forward. Come meet and greet your favorite political representatives. Come feel the excitement of the PNP's 85th Annual National Conference. Time come, Sunday, September 17, National Arena, 10 a.m. Time come now.
The proceeding was brought to you by the People's National Party.
Join us this Sunday, September 17 at 2:50 p.m. as we share the People's National Party 85th Annual Conference, sponsored by the People's National Party, right here on the family station, Love 101. This Sunday, listen for Revival of Truth at 4 p.m. as we facilitate the broadcast of the People's National Party's 85th Annual Conference.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's join Jukal for a look at how our Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp friends answered today's question. What are the positive lessons you learned from Hurricane Gilbert? Jukal.
Yes, good morning, good morning. So I do have a response here from Edna. I know Edna is one of our ever faithful. So let's hear what she has to say.
Good morning, Morning Watch. Good morning, Love 101 listeners and staff. For me, one of the positive things are, may I say some, I learned from Gilbert was always be in the alert, always be prepared for anything. Don't take anything for granted. Yes. I did not know that there was a hurricane coming when Gilbert hit. I thought it was normal rain until it finally hit. Yes, I was just 23 years old with a 2-year-old daughter in that time, and it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy when we lost all the things that we had at the tip of our fingers. You understand? 1 cup of water to bathe, half a cup of water to brush your teeth or stuff like that. And, you know, I've learned from Gilbert. That was my first real hurricane experience.
Any more comments, Rico?
No more. That one was from Edna. That was the only one that we have.
Comments we have. Well, thank you, Edna, for that. We get right into the second watch, which is, in fact, on the very topic itself. Hurricane Gilbert. For most of us, well, for those who were around, who were already born and alive and well, it was in many aspects or respects a very terrifying experience. And although I must confess in my case, it was a little bit more of a curiosity. I don't know why I'm saying that. But it was very traumatizing for many persons, extremely traumatizing. And many persons have lessons that they can pass on to their children and grandchildren. There were many cases of roofs that were lifted. I remember seeing houses, scores of homes where there was like no roof or very little left of a roof. There was the phenomena of flying satellite dishes, where you had satellite dishes which were very popular at the time. It was almost like a status symbol. A number of these satellite dishes were removed from their places by the wind. There was a lot of flooding. There was no electricity for months in many places. There were a multiplicity of inconveniences and, of course, the devastation. Perhaps the worst thing is that there were lives that were lost. And, you know, that is something that you can't replace. And persons were injured. Many people lost their homes. So yes, some people might say they have fond memories, but for others it was no joke at all, none at all. We have online today as guests to discuss this and to learn some lessons from what happened then. Evan Thompson, Director Meteorological Service of Jamaica, and Pastor Silburn Carr, pastor of the Abundant Life Christian Church. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you both?
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Here. Good to be with you.
I'm not hearing you well, host.
And I will take the liberty of
Volume is very low.
Thompson. Evan. Good morning.
Yes, that's fine.
we are such good friends, I can take that liberty on air with you.
That's Stokeley.
Now, gentlemen, quickly, sir, what are the positives, if any, that we can pull from Hurricane Gilbert? Starting with you, Evan, as a meteorologist.
Well, the truth is, it would be a really sad thing if we didn't learn anything from Gilbert.
Yeah.
And if we really couldn't find positive things to take from it, it was such an experience for those of us who were around at the time. And I must admit that I was around at the time. I actually had just begun my meteorological career because I had just started working in the meteorological service.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like a baptism by fire, if you could call it that, because it was within the first 2 weeks of me joining the Met Service that this happened. And what actually happened is that I was transported to our forecast center, which is at the Norman Manley International Airport, that morning. So I actually worked right through the passage of Hurricane Gilbert. And it was quite an experience for me. So I learned a lot. That was, as I said, the start of my career here. So
baptism by fire.
Exactly. So it kind of...
only because we're upon a break already, I'm going to ask you to pause. Pastor Carr, we haven't forgotten you. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Great sardine for the chef and the beginner. Follow the one with pepper, that are the winner. Shop on supermarkets, everybody
Great
selling.
sardines, follow the better flavor.
The time is
7:45.
Josie, 4 of you done. Get 4 but the hot in iron. Josie, 4 of you done. Take time back to your mouth in a fan. Grab 4 of the nicest patty. Just for your gun, make your day well. Beef, chicken, veg, all plant-based. Make ears full your mouth with tears. Josie, 4 of you done. Get 4 but the hot in iron. Josie, 4 of you done. Get 4 juicy patties for just $1,000 now. Promotion ends October 6th. Conditions apply.
Touching lives every day, so many different ways, a part of all you do. Sagicor will make you feel secure, reaching out for more, will always see you through. Reach for more, whatever you're dreaming, whatever your goals, will help you achieve them. You're never alone. Taking care of today's needs, take care of tomorrow's dreams. Every day helping you succeed, that's what Sagicor needs. Today's needs, tomorrow's dreams. Sagicor.
I've been hearing about this constitutional reform thing. You know anything about it?
Yes, constitutional reform is a chance for us to Jamaicanize the constitution.
But how?
Enough things changed since 1962 and we've matured as a nation. So modernizing the constitution will reflect our current societal values.
Oh, a constitution for Jamaicans, approved by Jamaicans.
Are you ready for the journey? Join us on the road to Republic. Think independence, think Republic. A message from the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs.
From generation to generation, Jamaicans have depended on J&B Bank to make the pride and joy of providing a safe place for their families possible. Now, with no processing fees and no down payment mortgage options, you can open the door to your own sweet home, a legacy to hand to your next generation. Visit jnbank.com to get pre-approved today. J&B Bank will help you find the way.
Why should you save? You ever hear your grandmother say, one cocoa full basket? Well, it's true. Saving protects you. You should save for an emergency fund, which can come in handy in the event of illness, job loss, or unexpected financial shocks. Saving can help you manage your expenses and reduce financial stress. Saving provides you with financial freedom.
This financial literacy tip was brought to you by Bank of Jamaica, building an inclusive economy.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the second watch, and the topic is Lessons Learned from Hurricane Gilbert. Our guests are Evan Thompson, Director of Meteorological Services of Jamaica, are pastor of the Abundant Life Christian Church. Gentlemen, Mr. Thompson, just before the break, you were outlining to us that Hurricane Gilbert, as it were, was your baptism of fire because you had just started to work with the Meteorological Service. And you actually worked during Gilbert.
That's right. So
I'm tempted to say that you brought Gilbert, but I won't.
Not at all. Not at all. I only heard about him while he was heading our direction. But that was how I, really began to understand the workings of hurricanes. And, of course, my interest was piqued at that time, even further than even before. I remember a few other systems that had passed close to Jamaica before that. So this was really heightened anxiety, and having to work through it, I learned quite a bit on the job.
Well, let's just hear from Pastor Carr, Pastor Silburn Carr, pastor of Abundant Life Christian Church. What do you think we can learn from Hurricane Gilbert? What lessons can you pass on to those listening who might not have been around or who might have been too young to remember? Pastor Carr?
Good morning. Remember that time my wife was pregnant, her second child, and we had not seen an hurricane before, neither my wife and myself, because we always about one storm we never born. So the last storm in Jamaica was like 20 odd years before. So there was a sense of intrigue and suspense in what a storm really is like. But I think the positive from the storm was that we learned how to depend on each other. We learned sharing. We learned to pray more. So a lot of persons learn more um, God minded or God focused at the time. But in times of calamity, we never tend to look to God more. And we learn how to live and to exist on very little. So those were some
I
positives from
remember
it.
that part, Pastor Carr.
Eh?
Learning to live and exist on very little.
Yes, little or nothing.
There were so many
I will learn to live without ice, love without ice and electricity and water.
whole life. You
But
couldn't
it
have
was
water supply because sometimes the water wasn't so clean.
right.
Yes,
And
some of those
I think as a nation it brought us together. So the selfish people became unselfish because them now no water and them turn up the road and stuff so them can get water. Somebody next door have little ice, you can get a piece of ice, you can get some cool water. And it was just a time to me of coming together
Yes.
and it just remind us that each one knew the other one.
Yes, and I remember seeing the devastation. I mean, I'd never seen such devastation in my
Yeah,
life.
it was awful. It was really bad.
Yes.
But you know, another positive is that the country came back together within 4 months, you know. By December, we had a beautiful Christmas, you know. Don't know if you remember.
Well, yes, Pastor Carr. I mean, it didn't last forever, but I
No, the resilience of the Jamaicans
against
came
beyond.
out
Yes, I agree.
during Gilbert and afterward.
Yes,
And it was really, I felt good to be a Jamaican during that period in 86.
yes, I understand. Mr. Thompson,
Yes.
Mr. Thompson, as director now of the Meteorological Service of Jamaica, I think Jamaicans have, well, you can comment on this if you wish, but I think Jamaicans have become a little bit seasoned at how to prepare for a hurricane. In fact, sometimes I think we might feel that some of the calls that a service like yours have made have been too overly frequent. You know, we're expecting a storm and nothing really comes, or very little rain, but we are still resilient and know how to prepare. Any comments on that? Because
Sure.
we have not really had anything, in my view. You can refute if you wish, if you know better. But I don't think we have had anything at that level of devastation since Gilbert. Am I correct, sir?
You are correct. A lot of what you just said is very true, and I agree with you. We kind of got into a place of complacency, having not really experienced a direct hit from a hurricane since 1951, as we were hearing from Pastor Carr just now. 51 was the storm that really moved across us, Hurricane Charlie. And so for 35, 37 years, we hadn't really seen that. So there was a generation that never really experienced a direct hit from a hurricane. We had some that passed close. We had some flooding related to other systems. Some will remember Hurricane David, that wasn't so far from us, and then Hurricane Allen, that was close to us in 1980. And there were a few others that caused some amount of dislocation in some areas. But in general, we weren't really hit again until 88 with Gilbert. And it moved right across the country, so everybody was impacted. And I think since that, we've had so many even near misses, or at least threats from hurricanes, or even direct hits. We have had hits from hurricanes since that, because you'd remember Hurricane Ivan in 2004. It actually hit us. Maybe this center didn't actually move over the land, which was something that we really learned from Gilbert, but it was so close that it would have been considered a hit from Hurricane Ivan, and then again from Hurricane Dean. And for some people in Jamaica, the devastation was even worse for those systems than for Gilbert, because they really came under the influence of the eye wall, which is the most intense part of the hurricane. And there was a lot of storm surge flooding that occurred over southern parts of the island as well. So for some people, they have had more severe activity than we had in Gilbert, but it has really been a learning experience of how to prepare for hurricanes. Gilbert really taught us that, and as we saw much more frequent threats from storms, we knew we got a better idea what we need to do, how we need to store water, or what other things we
I remember that.
Yes, we have to know now how we're going to prepare for being without certain commodities and amenities and certain things that we got so accustomed to for 3 or 4 days at least when you are dislocated by a hurricane. So we've learned that. I mean, sometimes we
lapse that for me, but anyway.
We lapse sometimes, and we kind of get complacent again, and we have to be reawakened by something else that moves close. Our most recent direct hit was Hurricane Sandy in 2012. We had a tropical storm just a couple of years ago move across the island as well, but it wasn't a hurricane. So one of the things that the Met Service learned, though, was that some of the procedures, we needed to document them properly so that we knew how we were going to be moving forward whenever there was any threat of any kind of hurricane. So the Hurricane Gilbert taught us to develop what we called our hurricane orders, which now we revise that and review that every year. And all the staff are reminded of what they must do, what kind of communication they must have, what must be in place, how do we prepare ourselves. We go through that every year at the start of the hurricane season so that we will not be caught off guard when anything threatens.
I remember before Hurricane Gilbert, I remember Hurricane Allen. Well, you said it was 1980. I got the year wrong. It was in fact 1980, and I was very small. I got the impression that there was going to be this massive hurricane, and my experience was that there was a lot of rain and some wind.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have, a sort of point of reference for a hurricane. But then, alas, came Gilbert.
That's right.
The hurricane of hurricanes. A troubling question I want to ask you, Mr. Thompson, before we wrap today. Should we have mandatory evacuation for hurricanes, in your opinion? Putting on the spot.
I think in some cases we have to do that. Some people don't think clearly when they are threatened, and so you will want to take the position that you have seen something before and you went through it, and so you think you can go through anything. But there are some hurricanes that we have never experienced. We had a category.
We leave it there this morning. I disagree with you totally, but I wanted to hear the opinion of a technocrat on the subject, because it becomes a very thorny issue every time a major hurricane or a system is coming. Thank you very much, Mr. Thompson.
All right, because there are some people who are really vulnerable, and unless you insist, they will not.
They will not budge.
Find the resources to move. And so you have to, even in your own household, sometimes you have to speak to your children in a way where you have to manage certain things because they don't understand.
Well, we are in the hurricane season now, so let us see what happens. Gentlemen, we are completely out of time. I want to thank Evan Thompson and Pastor Carr for being with us in this second watch. Very interesting discussion. Lessons learned from Hurricane Gilbert. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, listeners, for being with us. Information to get copies of the program, please call the production department at 876-968-9597. This has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale, and to our guest, join Reverend Dr. Dylan Toussaint next week as he looks at other topical and controversial issues of the day. I am Stokeley Marsh and handing it back to the Love in the Morning with Jokal.